Hello and welcome to this edition of Ask Service Provider. I am Clem Harrod and we are here today with Jessica Barnhill, CLEMCO.HR Health Insurance Advisor. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Clem.
Yeah. So some of the things that we're dealing with and some of the questions that we've been asked are related to health insurance. I know a lot of people who have been laid off from their full-time job or having reduced hours, and they are unsure of what to do next when it comes to their health insurance. So we are here today to ask you for your advice.
Okay. Yes, so a lot of people have health insurance provided to them through their employer. And sometimes they have that coverage for 20 years or 30 years, and they never have to shop for health insurance on their own. For someone who leaves a corporate job to become self-employed or becomes an independent contractor, they have to shop for their own health insurance. And unfortunately, right now, due to COVID-19, there has been millions and millions of people that have either been terminated or they've been switched from full-time to part-time. And so they've lost their health insurance benefits. So when it comes to someone who's shopping for health insurance on their own, there's two different options that you have. One is to go to the marketplace or healthcare.gov, the state exchange for your state. Sometimes those coverage are referred to as Obamacare, but it's healthcare.gov. You can get a guaranteed issue plan, and that's based off income. It's based off money that you make annually. And they don't ask you any medical questions other than tobacco use. So that's one way that you can get a rate, and you can only sign up for that if you lose employer coverage, and you have to do so within 60 days. So if you have lost your job and you didn't have employer benefits for health insurance, you have to wait until open enrollment to sign up for a program like that. Another way that you can get health insurance is to look at the private market. The private market gives better options for networks. There's name brand PPOs, there's lower deductibles, lower monthly premiums, and you have more freedom and flexibility on those sorts of plans. But for most private plans, you have to answer yes or no medical questions in order to get approved. So that may not be a good fit for some people, depending on medical conditions, pre-existing conditions. It may not be a good fit for the private market. You may need to go to a healthcare.gov option. Everyone's situation is a little different. So I know that most people want to research online when it comes to health insurance, and going online for health insurance is a bad idea because there's a lot of misinformation. And instead of looking at two of the safe options, either healthcare.gov or a private plan, you'll get 10, 15 other options that have a lot of holes and vulnerable spots in their coverage. And maybe it's a discount plan and not real health insurance. It's very difficult for the consumer to tell. So I would recommend talking to a licensed agent that can shop all carriers to be able to give you the right kind of information. And it's nice to be in contact with someone who's a health insurance agent, or to ask, your community and talk to someone like myself that can research options, answer questions, and make sure that, you can make an educated decision before you decide. And I know I've been talking for a couple of minutes, but there's another option, and that is Cobra. Cobra is an extension of your employer plan. It's usually pretty expensive. You normally pay 100% of the premium, if not 102% of the premium. But that's a third option that you have if you lose employer coverage, whether you retire, whether you get fired, whether you decide to quit and leave your company on good terms, or if you get laid off, or if you go from being a full-time employee to a part-time employee. In all of those situations, you should be offered Cobra. And that will extend the plan that you have right now through your employer. You just have to pay 100% of it. the employer would no longer cover their 50%, which usually an employer covers about 50% of your premium. Times to use Cobra: if you happen to have a surgery coming up or some sort of procedure that's expensive, or if you've satisfied your deductible for 2020 already, I would look at Cobra and do the math to see how much it costs per month versus going to another plan with a new deductible halfway through the year. It's rare, but there are times when Cobra is going to make the best financial sense. It's a lot of things in what I responded, but it's a lot of information.
But and I'll be honest with you, that's one of the things that I greatly appreciate about you, is the amount of knowledge that you have for your specialty. You are well versed on all the plans. You are well versed with the customer service aspect and making sure that everyone is taken care of. And thank you so much for doing your part in helping our community of independent contractors.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that, Clem. What I do is very serious. I care about what I do. I like for everything to work out the way it's supposed to. And I'm very happy. I like to solve the puzzle. I like to figure out the solution, and I love a challenge. So I found my calling in the health insurance industry. It's very rewarding to make someone happy and to be able to take one thing off their plate, and knowing that they have the peace of mind regardless of what happens. If they get COVID-19, go to the ICU, have a $2 million medical claim, that they're not gonna have to pay that. They're at a good company. So I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for your time, Jessica. You've helped so many independent contractors through the CLEMCO.HR network. You've been there to support us, to help us. So thank you again for your time.
You're welcome, Clem. You have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.